Board of Adjustment to order. And the first hearing in the evening is Fred and Victor Scrutals. All right. Huh? Yeah.
Notice of public hearing, please take notice that an application was received from the following person for a zoning appeal. Fred and Vicky Kruko, commencing at a point in the north right-of-way line of public road, which is 800 feet more or less, being in the southwest quarter, southeast quarter of the southwest quarter of section 35, township 102 north, range 4 west of Crooked Creek Township. The zoning appeal is for an administrative decision as per Eastern County Development Code. It's 0110.1104, Powers and Appeals, Subdivision 2. The Board of Adjustment shall act upon all questions as they may arise in the administration of any ordinance or official control, and it shall hear and decide appeals from and review any order, requirement, decision, or determination made by an administrative official charged with enforcing any ordinance adopted pursuant to the provisions of sections 394.27 subdivision 6. Hearing on this application to be held at the Houston County Justice Center basement, City of Caledonia, Minnesota 55921 at 6:15 p.m. on Thursday, August 27, 2015. Houston County Board of Adjustment, Tabasco and Zoning Administrator, advertised August 12, 2015.
Fred, Tim?
Yeah, thank you. I have a packet of materials.
Yes. Put it up.
This is the original sign. What we're here in regard to is a construction sand pit in Crooked Creek Township. And what the history here is that in March 2nd of 1964, and I closed with materials, a copy of the deed from Arnold Krukow, which is Mr. Fred Kruko's father purchased his property, and we have a copy of the recorded deed. It's the second to the last document. Then the last document is how Fred acquired title in 2007 to the property. The history is that this construction sand pit has been in existence, been in use since approximately 1964, 5, 6, and we have with this affidavits by Reuben Schrader and John Kohlmeyer, who also in their affidavits testified to the use of it. Going back, and I'll come back to those affidavits. The history here is, and I think Mr. Frank has situated next to him a book, and back in the late 60s, early 70s, maybe you're right, it was around 72, whenever the registration was done. What year?
1972.
72. So, these quarries were registered, and the Krukows, their recollection and all, they had many quarries at the time. Many of them are limestone, and then they had this construction sand pit quarry where they're all on the list, but this one isn't. And it was done informally, 20/20 hindsight, but back in those days, Fred would testify and tell you what happened, but his recollection is they met with the county officials, and the county officials wrote down, and they wrote what they had for quarries, and then it was put on a list. They never saw it again, never had a reason to question it, and apparently this quarry is not on that list now. We find out 40 years later. They've operated it since that day, this construction sand pit. So, and it should have been on the list. And there was back then, there wasn't any letters sent out to confirm, or there was no forms that there was just uninformed. So, we're here asking that this be considered a registered quarry. The affidavit by Mr. Reuben Schrader tells how he graduated. He graduated high school, and then he was in the military service. In 1964, he commenced employment working for Arnold Krukow and Bonanza Grain Krukow Rock Products, and he is personally familiar with the sand pit in Crooked Creek Township. That he remembers working in that back in 1966, and he's worked at it since then for the Krukow family, Bonanza Grain, and for various times since 1966. And we have an affidavit by John Kohlmeyer, who resides in Crooked Creek Township and the Freeburg area, and he resides close to this. He's been on the town board for a long time. And he tells about how that it was in existence back in the mid-1960s, been used since then. We have aerial photos. I have an aerial photo. The earliest that we could, there's one in 62. It doesn't show any activity there. And the next one we have is 76. Now, I don't have the 62 one here in my, you got it. So the 76 one shows, but there's nothing in between, unfortunately. We can't locate through the governmental sources an aerial photo covering that exact period of time, but it does show that's been the case. So basically, it's our position that this was inadvertently not written in the book, and it should have been, and it's been operated and treated as one, as many construction jobs, governmental jobs, sands come out of it for the county and the state. Fred could tell about how they did jobs with the Reno Dam and the different projects where they sand came out of that over the years. So basically, that's our position, that it should be considered a registered quarry, effective as of that time, and when it should have been on the list. We thought it was on the list.
Just going by the maps, there's never been cropland on this area, or when you guys bought it, there was never.
There's never been cropland there. Back when my dad bought it, I do remember that. The first project that probably came out of there was that Reno Dam project, and that was quite an extensive project if you look at how big that is. And then I do know that we furnish concrete sand for Griff, with ready mix, George Griff, Jeff Griff's dad, at the ready mix plant, and down there by Brady elevator at that time. And then in the late 60s, my dad built his own ready mix plant, and we furnished sand for that for many years, 70s, and we did, probably in the 80s, we started taking sand out of the Iowa River bottom. There's a little coarser sand. This sand pit was basically used for backfilling house basements. There's a little bit of sand. It probably, after we started going to the Iowa River bottom for concrete sands, this sand pit was, minimal, except for special projects. Bridge abutments or something, if there's something in here.
But it's not agricultural at all.
There's no agriculture. Basically, it's just the same pit.
What I was asking about is if that's what it was before you guys bought it. It's that particular place has never grown row crops or something like that, to the best of your knowledge?
No.
Okay.
I did have Bob, he gave a small, just scenario here of what happened as far as our dealing with the Krugels. I know Fred came in and they were talking about a project, I think a highway project, how this started. And then we were going back to the aerial photos and registrations of mines and stuff just to kind of back it when we kind of caught it that there was, this registration was not there. What staff, and that's the reason why we're here for appeal, is the staff went back and we looked at aerial photos from 62 on, and Tim was right when he said that the next photo was 76. And in between, there's not, we couldn't come up with anything conclusive. So based on the information we had, we didn't have, I guess, the affidavit for that at that time, but the information we had presented for us, we couldn't see that there was any activity put there prior to or during that 72 in the registrations. And the first we could pick it up was the next aerial photo being 76. So based on that information, Bob made the determination that it was basically an unregistered quarry, that we needed to, we needed to go through the hearing process if we wanted to use it. And that's why we're here sitting here, is we needed information as such as this here to make, and that's why they're appealing that, I guess, because that's the determination that Bob made.
Board have any questions for Tim first?
Do you have any receipts of sales of sand or during that time at all or anything like that? That would back up your affidavits a little bit? I mean, I don't say there's nothing wrong with them, but I just, maybe just to see a little more information.
When I left the business, 2007, I was not, and records, back that long. Typically, sales and, keep tax records roughly for 7 years, would be.
We have, you guys have to have John Colmeyer, who's, John, again, you probably know John, who's town board down there forever, and then Ruben, who's worked for Steelworks. So, ideally, it'd be nice to have photos of people working out there when they were young people with all black hair and no gray hair that were signing these affidavits.
Some of them might not even be alive yet.
That's right. But unfortunately, we don't have that. But these are disinterested people that are signing.
We'll take input from the audience now. Bruce?
Oh, thank you.
Want to state your name and...
Yes. My name is Bruce Kimball from Caledonia, Minnesota. I have some photos here. Don't have a projector. Tuesday I went down to the photos. There are two pieces of property. They're stacked one on top of another from south to north, just north and adjacent to the county trunk 249. According to the plat book here and Google Maps and so on, it looks as if Crooked Creek actually runs through this northern parcel. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it runs north of the, it's north of the.
Yep. And Crooked Creek is a public water, correct? And the zoning ordinance, I have the orange edition, says that no mine can be within 100 feet of a public water. Therefore, this is a non-conforming illegal mine. It's also a trout stream, designated trout stream. So I'm not really sure if you can really give them what they want, because they are totally out of compliance with anything with the state and with our own ordinance. I hope you don't give it to them. What they need to do is go through a CUP process. There's no grandfathering here. They cannot prove anything. An affidavit without the taxes that you're looking for, or sales receipts, there's no proof. It's one man's word against another. I like my word. You like coal miners. But according to what we have here, this is an illegal operation. Until they comply with the 100-foot setback, they got to reconfigure the property lines, and they have to go through the CUP process. I'm calling DNR tomorrow.
Well, that's fine. But, until we, table, we don't take a look.
Yeah.
Once.
That's fine.
Field, stand up.
Michael Fields, Winnebago Township. It seems to me that unless they can prove that this mine has been in continuous operation since 1967, used every year with no gaps of more than a year in there, that then if they want to resume mining operations there, they have to go through the proper process. This is, they can't prove that. And we have to go on solid facts here. Since they can't prove that the mine has been in continual operation since 1967, it's kind of a no-brainer to me. You got to get it done.
I think we gotta gather as much information, take a little time, gather as much information as we can from everybody concerned in this thing, DNR and everybody, before we go forward. Because we don't want to make a mistake, one way or the other.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Van Gorp?
Brian Van Gorp, UPS Township. I think it also, I'm not familiar with this mine, but has it expanded since 1966? If it has expanded, it would also not be eligible for the non-conforming status.
I don't think it has. I used to chop silage on the neighboring property or for Leo Braze down there. And did that for probably 20 years. I don't think this has ever expanded, has it?
How can it be active for like 50 years and not have expanded?
My name is Rich Shield, Money Creek Township. I just have a question for Brad. Would you like to go through the CUP process, or either one of you guys, how come with this coming up is kind of confusing? Would that be the easiest way to do it?
We don't believe the CUP is necessary. Okay, so that's their answer.
Can you explain why?
This is pre-existing, but you can't prove it. Well, that's a fact. And I can argue. That's the Minnesota statute 394.36.
I think I'd like to make a motion that we table this and we want to go view this site, if that's fine.
I'm going to second that motion.
Motion's been made and second to table this and to do this property and that.
That way we can all maybe gather some more information.
Yep.
Does the operation still continue? Because I got pictures of them working there right now.
We'll table it for tonight and we'll see your picture when we open it back up again next time.
Just one thing. Would you two be agreeable? I think we have to extend this 60-day notice to 120 days because I think we'll run past that 60 days if we table it. So I do need your approval that you're agreeable that, okay.
I think there's a lot of stuff on the table for next month, isn't there? Coming up for the meeting.
Not sure.
I'm gonna be out of, I won't be available the 3rd through the 15th, so I don't know when your next scheduled meeting is.
No, meeting embassy.
When would you want to look at it?
We'll look at it. We won't take any testimony now. We won't get anybody saying anything.
What about when's your next meeting?
Well, these here don't always come unless we have a lot of stuff.
The
Sometimes.
19th, I'm gonna be up north. I know that.
Shouldn't there be a stop work order until you decide the issue then?
There's no sand, there's no sand being removed from that.
I got pictures.
But that,
There's sand right next to the creek right now.
You mean the pit runs right along it?
Yeah, well, I don't know where the pit is in relationship to the pile of sand, but the pile of sand is next to Crooked Creek.
There was a pile of blacktop that was.
I'm talking sand. I know where the blacktop is. I'm talking sand next to the creek.
Well, we'll deal with that at the next, when we get the rest of the information.
I want to be there to know the meeting because if all three of you guys are going, I'm going too. I want to know when that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's
Has to be posted.
It'll be posted.
The next meeting would be fourth Thursday would be the 24th. Yeah. That's a Thursday.
You're gonna be out of,
yeah, I'll be available. I'll be available on 24th.
all right.
Would you like to go down up there before that?
Yeah, we have to be before that.
Okay. Well, you can do it any day you want. I mean, don't necessarily have to be in the same day, but.
We're gonna be gone. I'm gonna be gone. Weekend.
So we do it next week on this?
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to post it now.
Oh, it's got to be
Yes,
posted.
Yeah. Well, unless you want to do it on the 24th, and I can post it, we'll be down there. See, I come back at 6 o'clock here, we can go down there.
Well, I'd rather have a little bit of time to compile.
Could you
some
speak up,
information
please, sir?
reviewing it.
Can't hear you.
We'll,
I said I would rather have a few days to, after I see the site, to compile more information.
Well, you,
I'll be there. What's that calendar there? Weekend after, Thursday after Labor Day. I'll be back Tuesday night. Anything else? That's, would be the meeting time. Jim wants to do it before that, so, yep, I agree.
so anywhere between the 14th and the 18th, somewhere there.
Yeah, if that excludes one, I'm up one. Yeah, so I'll get, as soon as we get it.
Yeah, the 14th would be on a Monday, 18th. Labor Day is when? The 5th, 6th, and 7th. So the following week, the 14th is a Monday there. You do that?
I'll be back.
You pick a date between the 14th and 18th.
Doesn't matter to me, you just want to pick.
So either one of yours will
Question back here.
stay. All right, what's your question?
Gretchen Cook from City of the Crescent. The picture that Bruce has of the truck with moving sand was taken at 6:30 this evening.
No, there was no sand. What's being
well,
moved?
they were moving things. At any rate, if you're supposed to be done at what, 5 o'clock at night, we need a stop work order
For where?
for that pit.
What's the five
Where is
o'clock?
it?
It's an illegal mine that needs a stop work order.
If somebody wants to listen for a change instead of talk, I'll tell them what's going on. Okay?
Okay, Tim, fence filter entry.
There's been some material, there was some material stored on the premises, some millings, and that material needed to be moved off, and has been, that's what their movement, to move off, it was just stored there. It's nothing that's mined on the property, and it's being moved off either by NWA or NABI. There's nothing being mined.
It makes no difference.
Stop
It's
it.
an operation, it's part of a mining operation, whether or not they're storing trinkets there or whatever.
That's out of order.
Well,
We're gonna go through this thing and set up a time.
What time?
What time you get ready?
Monday, you said?
Monday.
Monday? Okay, Tuesday.
1 o'clock? Or Tuesday?
Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
On the 15th.
Post that in.
All right. Do you want to come back and make it?
No, we'll make that on the regular meeting.
Okay, I won't be here on the 15th, I'd like to have it on the regular meeting. If they want to go on the 15th view, that's it.
We're going, what they did, doing is
There's no
just a
testimony
beauty
or
site,
anybody.
no testimony.
No, I'm not trying to, what I'm just saying is that, you said, are they gonna come back and meet?
Oh, yeah, I know we are.
Thank you.
All right, this matter is tabled and we're gonna go and view it on September 15th at 1 o'clock.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
post the notice.
Thank you.
All right, you want to call the next hearing, which will be here.
Notice of public hearing, please take notice that an application was received from the following person for variance of setback requirements, Darrell Taylor, the northwest southeast of section 36, township 103, north 25 west, Union Township. This is a reconsideration of an after-the-fact variance of 18 feet to meet the required 50-foot setback requirement from the west property line. Hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Justice Center, basement, City of Caledonia, Minnesota, 559-21630, on Thursday, August 27, 2015, Houston County Board of Adjustment for Bob Scanlon, zoning administrator. Advertised August 12, 2015. I do have a small, Bob had broke in a small bit of what was going on here, so I'd like to read that. Darrell Taylor is applying for a variance for reconsideration of an earlier denial of a variance of 18 feet from the west property line to build a shed. Discussion between County Attorney Ott and Taylor's attorney came to a reconsideration of the application would best suit the situation at hand. An issue regarding the denial by the Board of Adjustment line concluded the detailed findings of fact to support the decision on a letter from zoning administrator that extended the deadline for appeal. Staff recommends support of a decision based on a solid findings of fact with consideration of all six practical difficulties standards.
Mrs. Taylor, Ed, what do you want to this meet?
My name is Tom Keefer, I'm here representing Mrs. Taylor.
Okay, I wasn't out to your property or whatever, and I wasn't on board when this was, done handled before, so I'm catching up.
And some pictures that I'd like to have the board look at. Mr. and Mrs. Taylor have lived at this location for 10 years, and they maintain currently 10 horses at this location, and they reside at this location as well. They are seeking, as it states in the notice, an 18-foot variance from a 50-foot setback. In light of what, reviewing all the other variance appeals, the amount of land that they're seeking for a variance is much less than what most other people have sought in variances as well. Another consideration is there any negative impact on any government services? This pole shed is not going to have, it's not going to cost the county any more money to put in sewer, water, roads, or anything else, so there's going to have no effect at all on government services. Another issue to look at is whether this is going to make a substantial change in the character of the neighborhood. This is an agricultural area. This is for use for horses. It's going to stay agricultural. This is not, we're not putting up a 50-story condo here in our agricultural area. It's also not going to have any substantive detrimental effect at all on any of the neighbors here. As you can see, this is very agricultural. The building is still away from any fences. And in fact, you can see some of the buildings from the neighbors are even closer than the 50-foot as it is already. So again, it's not going to have any detrimental effect on this. And what I'd like to then kind of get into is why is the building put where it's at? Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Taylor really looked at this for quite a long period of time as to where this should be placed. And the first picture I put on here is a drawing as to how the property drains. And there is a natural draining area that goes in between their house and where their horse arena is. This is also a very steep property. Where this pole barn is located is one of the few, if only, places where it could be placed, where it would be logical to be placed. In fact, Dave Walters from the county here, when he looked at it, said that's probably the best location for this building. And primarily he's saying that is for drainage area here. Now somebody could say, well, why doesn't it just get moved over some more, 18 feet over it? Well, as you can see by this first picture, if this gets moved over, what's going to happen is it's now going to impinge on the natural drainage area that you got here. It's going to create a dam. It's going to force more water toward the neighbor's property and force more water toward the residents. It's also going to be blocking some water so that the water is going to be stopped and not be flowing the way it normally would. Since there's a gravel floor on this and storing hay, that water could get into that area and make it not useful to have it storing hay on the lower part of it as well. So really, where this could, and if you can look at some of the other pictures that are here, I think you can see in some of these pictures here, we've got, clearly shows on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side of the picture is where you can see where the pole barn is, and you can see how the hill goes straight down from here. If you look at, there's another picture that shows the pole barn, and then it's got some grass, berm. This shows where the natural drain area is on this property, which is shown on the first picture. And that's where the water is getting pushed toward. And again, that's the natural way where the water should be done. So this isn't something that Taylors have created or trying to cause problems. They're actually putting it in one place that they can put it in. And again, they're using this for their horses, that they can store grain in that. They're not able to put it in some other places just because of the topography of it. The topography causes these problems here. I think you can kind of look and a lot of these other pictures, even the last picture just shows, again, how just far land drops from where that building is located. And so those are the reasons why it's sought. This is an after-the-fact variance solely because the Taylors didn't realize they needed a permit. They thought it was an agricultural building. Somebody had told them they didn't need one. And then when they were advised by the county that they did need one, they immediately filed for a permit, paid the extra fees to get the permit, and then sought the variance. So I think what we're showing here today is really kind of emphasizing just the drainage areas and the problems that you have in here. There really isn't another location to put this pole shed. It's not going to have any effect on any of the neighbors. It's not going to have, it's just going to be a benefit for the Taylors, increases their property value, increases taxes for the county. And again, it's in the proper location, and that's been confirmed by, again, one of the county representatives looking at it, saying that is probably the best place to put this building. So that's why we're seeking this minimum variance of 18 feet. We think it's in justice to allow the Taylors to properly use their property in accordance with a very acceptable use, and again, not have any detrimental effect to either any neighbors or to anybody in the county. And for that, we'd ask that this variance be granted. And if there's any questions, either myself or Mr. Taylor would be glad to answer them.
Okay, you guys have any questions now for Mr. Taylor? Otherwise, we'll open it to the audience. Anyone in the audience want to speak to this matter?
I'm Wayne
Stand up and speak.
I'm Wayne Woodett.
Right.
I own the land adjacent to it. And we're concerned about the snow drifting on the fence between the land. We have herd beef cows next to it. And if the fence isn't properly maintained after a drift of snow, they might break out. And that's my concern with it. It's too close. And it's a tall building. And we can get some sense.
Do you have any, want to speak to the
Couple
fence?
comment on that is, if you look at one of the pictures here, I think you can see in the packet here, there is a natural drainage area in between where this pole shed is and where the fence is. Plus, it's 32 feet away from where the building is to the fence. I don't know what kind of snowstorm there would ever be to affect this fence, but there'd have to be one heck of a snowstorm to ever do this. The drainage area is not going to affect doing this. Plus, Taylors have the responsibility for that fence. If something happened with the fence, they are legally obligated to fix that fence, and they will do so. Whether, if there's any cattle here, if there's the issue about snow, from what we understand is there aren't any cattle stored there during the wintertime, when there would be any snow. So if that issue would ever come up, there'd be plenty of time to fix the fence. But again, we don't think there's any type of snow problem in here at all that would ever affect this fence at all. In fact, Mr. Hudek's building is located even closer to that same fence. So if there's issues with that, that could come from his own building as well.
Is there anyone else that would like to address this?
Yes, I'm Ken Bowen. I was, the first time I served on Board of Adjustments with Mr. Myrie, and we did come to the conclusion after discussing with the Hudek whether there was any resolution to this problem. And Mr. Hudek and Mrs. Hudek decided that they simply wanted their setback enforced. So I think the question here is, do we enforce our ordinances or do we grant variances? And I was very uncomfortable not granting variance in this case because it was a very expensive situation for the Taylors. On the other hand, I think we've got to consider that we can't grant variances based on drainage. We grant variances. Buildings are supposed to be built on the property that the property owner owns, not based on where the good drainage is. So if there is no good drainage, you don't build a building. It's got nothing to do with, we had to put it there because the drainage was there. So I'm still of the opinion that unless you can satisfy Mr. Hudak with a 36-foot setback or a 34-foot setback or whatever that is, his rights should not be trumped by the rights of somebody looking for an after-the-fact variance. Thank you.
Anyone else? I was out and Rick took me, I had never been to this site before. And Rick took me out there, he probably never even found out that we were there. And that was Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah.
And the pictures, at 32 feet is, it's not 50 feet, but there is I mean, when we're talking about a lot of snow or whatever, there's quite a deep drainage there, and that it would take a lot of snow to fill that in. I understand this after the fact stuff, and I'm not a big fan of that. I can assure you of that. Because I've been on the zoning and planning board for a long time, and this creates a lot of problems. But being that Mr. Walters from the Soil and Water Conservation said his opinion was that this was the best place for it. And being that there is a very good deep drainage in that, and in fact, we probably got better pictures from Rick than what you got. But that was what I gathered from viewing it. And like I said, Mr. Walters from Soil and Water was of the opinion that that was the best place for it. I'm going to reiterate again that they should have the 50-foot possibly, and after the fact is causes problems for me, but you don't see where 18 feet is worth tearing that building all apart. That's my opinion. Anybody else? All right, we have the findings.
Area various standards, practical difficulties. Number one, is there a substantial variation in relation to the requirement? Number two, will the variance have a negative effect on governmental services? Number three, will the variance affect a substantial change in the character of the neighborhood, or will there be a substantial detriment to neighboring properties? Number four, can the practical difficulty be alleviated by a feasible method other than a variance? Number five, how did the practical difficulty occur? Did the landowner create a need for the variance? And number six, in light of all the above factors, will allowing the variance serve the interest of justice?
Any discussion on the standards? If there are no other questions, or want to put any stipulations on about the fence or any of that stuff, it appears that that's one of the concerns here that we have.
What kind of fence is there right now?
It's a
Barbed wire.
barbed wire fence. Wood fence?
Yeah,
Is it
barbed
wood?
wire.
Yeah, pretty, looks pretty good. Huh?
You guys put it in?
Yeah, well, he paid us for it.
That's a pretty decent fence, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty good fence, and there's good fence on both sides of the cow lane where you run your cattle, it looked good to me. And looked like just from being there and that, the water in your cow lane is gonna go down your property, and his is gonna go down his, so.
I think you should have a stipulation in there that fence has got to be kept up. I mean, so.
Is there a motion with that stipulation in there to approve or deny?
Okay. I move to grant the variance.
I'll second it.
With the stipulation in there.
maybe a new fence should be put in that's stronger than hardwood.
You got cattle there in the winter?
You know, now we could have.
You ever, we'll make that if the operation changes that you're gonna have cattle there in the winter, and that and the fence is not up to standard, and that would be your job to take care of it.
I would soon see a steel fence put in there, something stronger than cement and poles or something.
I don't think you can go more than part of our fence. That's the existing fence.
That'll get out, it's his fault.
Then it'll be his.
I got a lease right next door to two little boys. They're turning out with them. There's no danger factor to them.
I guess we all live in the country.
I don't think it's going to stand up.
Well, I guess if you have a problem with it, come back and tell us. Huh?
All those in favor, so.
Yeah, well, I guess we got stipulations in it. All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. 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 The variance is granted. Yep.
Notice of public hearing, please take notice that an application was received from the following persons for the variance of setback requirements. Owen Fromground, part of the northwest quarter, northeast quarter, section 2104, north, range 6 west. Mike Creek Township, variance of 1,940 feet to rezone a residential platted subdivision within a half a mile of existing registered feed lot. Hearing of this application will be held at the Houston County Justice Center, basement, City of Caledonia, Minnesota, 55921 at 6:45 p.m. on Thursday, August 27, 2015. Houston County Board of Adjustments, Bobowski, zoning administrator, advertised August 15, 2012. Arlen Crown is planning to rezone a portion of his property in Mine Creek Township from agricultural to residential. A variance of 1,940 feet is required as the standard is 2,640-foot setback cannot be met. The feedlot is owned by relatives and consists of cattle and horses. The ordinance states, new and the expansion of existing schools, churches, platted subdivisions, public parks located within 1/2 mile of a registered feedlot shall be reviewed as a site-specific variance. Staff recommends consideration of the size of the feedlot, 20 beef cows and 5 horses in comparison to the locations of proposed development. Also, consider development is limited to one dwelling on one residential lot.
Tell us what's going on.
Delaney Crown, Arlen's son. We're looking at building Arlen a house down at the end of the valley. Trying to do the proper steps as required, I guess. The variance, if you throw my sister and brother-in-law, they're our cattle. So I guess we'll let them speak for themselves if they have an issue.
Yeah, I think that came back.
Okay. I know I've worked with Arlen here, and we did take soil borings and location of house, and he's got a preliminary plat coming up here before the planning commission. Yes.
All right, anybody in the audience would like to speak to this matter?
I'm Jim Quinn, I'm Arlen's son-in-law. It's our place. We have a feedlot, Arlen's cattle are in my feedlot, so we have no issue with this at all.
Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Bruce?
Bruce Kimball from Caledonia, just 76% of the setback. I don't understand why it needs to be so much. I mean, what's the point of having setbacks if you're going to take 76% of it? I mean, Are we going to have a law somewhere in our ordinance that says you cannot exceed a certain percentage of a setback, because that would make sense? Well, then why was the setback determined in the first place when the law was passed? Obviously, the law has something to do with safety, concentration, whatever. This seems way beyond a reasonable asking for a variance. 76% of a setback from the feedlot? I'm confused.
His land and his cattle, I think.
What about resale?
Pardon?
What about reselling the house at one point? The next people that.
Nobody can.
There will be no resale. It is a family farm.
Read standards.
Area variance standards, practical difficulties. Number one, is there a substantial variation in relation to the requirement? Number two, will the variance have a negative effect on governmental services? Number three, will the variance affect a substantial change in the character of the neighborhood, or will there be a substantial detriment to neighboring properties? Four, can the practical difficulty be alleviated by a feasible method other than a variance? Five, how did the practical difficulty occur? Did the landowner create a need for the variance? Six, in light of all the above factors, will allowing the variance serve the interests of justice?
Any questions on the standard? Last for the motion to either approve or deny the variance.
I move to grant the variance.
I'll second. Motion been made, second to approve the variance. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Variance is granted. We need to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Make a motion to approve the minutes. I'll second the motion. Motion's been made. Second to approve the minutes of the last meeting. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Minutes are approved. I think that's all we've got on our agenda. I'll have a motion to adjourn. Motion's been made to adjourn. I'll second the motion.